Hello, and my name is Pete Rushmer, and I'm your host today of A Half Dozen Things podcast. A Half Dozen Things is a podcast for business owners just like you. Whether you're an underdog hungry for success, or you're already smashing it but want to continue to level up, we are here each week for you to get insight and learning from the very best in the business. No fluff, no BS, and no self-proclaimed gurus talking about how easy business or life is.
Hello and welcome to this session on understanding EU driver's hours. These are really important regulations for HGV and bus drivers to ensure that they stay compliant with road safety laws. The purpose behind the hours regulations are to ensure fair competition and to ensure road safety for other road users. There has been many changes to the ability to use these driver's hours during COVID and during the driver shortage. However, this session is going to focus on the key driver's hours that are part of that legislation and affect most drivers. Those that are in scope usually drive vehicles that are over 3.5 tonnes and aren't exempt. For a list of exemptions, which there are several, you would need to have a look elsewhere. I shan't be covering any exemptions in this session. So the first thing that the legislation covers is daily driving. So on a daily basis, drivers are allowed to drive for 9 hours, and this can be extended to 10 hours twice in a working week, and in a fixed week, which is between Monday and Sunday. So the week starts on a Monday, ends on the Sunday, and 2 additional 10-hour periods are available on top of the regular 9-hour period. The maximum driving hours in a week is therefore 56 hours. And the reason for that is you're able to do 6 driving periods in a week, and those 6 driving periods can consist of 4 9-hour periods and 2 10-hour periods. If you are good at maths or better at maths than I am, that then makes it 56 hours. But there's also a legislation around on a fortnightly basis, which is a rolling fortnight. So you take into account the previous week and the current week, and then from the current week into the following week as to what driving you're allowed. And that's 90 hours in any fortnight. So that's essentially the driving element of the rules. Obviously, a driver's working time takes up far more than just driving. There's other work as well, like loading and unloading and dealing with paperwork. So those hours will obviously, the shift period will obviously be extended. So that's then taken into account when you look at the rest periods. But first of all, there's also breaks. So a break is a break in a driving period where the driver is able to dispose of their time freely. They're able to watch their phone, or we recommend getting away from the cab during our driver CPC sessions. But essentially, after a 4.5 hour period of driving, there needs to be a break of at least 45 minutes. And we recommend that is taken slightly longer because of the 1 minute rule on tachograph, but that's probably something for another series. But after 4.5 hours driving, accumulated driving, there needs to be a break of 45 minutes. That can be taken during the driving period in a 15-minute followed by a 30-minute period. You're not able to swap those over. You can't have the 15-minute period at the end of the driving period. It needs to be either a 45-minute in full or a 15 followed by a 30-minute break. So the daily rest period is 11 hours, and that is a period between what the end of one shift and the period of the next shift. However, that can be reduced to 9 hours 3 times within a working week, which is from the end of the last weekly rest to the beginning of the next weekly rest period.
Hi, it's Pete from Flagship Partners. We're really proud to sponsor a Half Dozen Things podcast. At Flagship Partners, we take road safety really seriously, and we're your road safety partnership. We help transport companies with compliance and training across their businesses, including first aid, driver CPC, and other transport management services. So if you're FORS accredited or you want to improve your operator compliance risk score, give Flagship Partners a call today.
Okay, so one of the things that I often see causes infringements is that drivers will drivers will overtake their three reduced rests of 9 hours. And the reason for that is that they don't properly calculate the period within the 24 hours. And what I mean by that is it's really important to recognize that if you're going to have an 11-hour rest in a 24-hour period, you can only have a shift period from the start of work to the end of work of 13 hours. Okay, because 24 less the 11 is 13. And as soon as you have a work period or a shift period that's over 13 hours, even if it's by 1 or 2 minutes, that automatically becomes a reduced rest. Even if you finish at 13 hours and 5 minutes, that is then a reduced rest and comes off the allocation of 3 times. So a lot of infringements will be caused by a fourth rest period, which is shorter than the 11 hours for whatever reason, and that will cause an infringement for drivers. So it's very important to keep an eye on that. And then the other area is weekly rest. So a driver's usual weekly rest is 45 hours for a week, and that can be reduced. However, that 45-hour rest has to happen on a every other week basis. When driving in Europe, there is an allowance to have two reduced rests on the bounce, but that needs to be paid back when you're back in the UK. But we'll just sort of avoid that because those drivers who do that European work are normally pretty sharp on their hours and what have you. So fingers crossed those guys that they won't need to watch this video. But generally speaking, a 45-hour rest for a weekly rest every other week. And then on the week where it's not required, you can reduce, and you can reduce that down to as little as 24 hours rest. However, the time that you reduce needs to be taken back within 3 weeks and bolted onto the end of another weekly rest. So, for example, if you decided to reduce to 24 hours one weekend, which is a reduction of 21 hours, that 21 hours needs to be bolted on to your rest period at the end of the 3rd week from when you've taken that reduction. So the only other thing to mention is about split rest. So a split rest of a day is where the driver is able to take a clear 3 hours during the day as a rest period, and then they're able to take 9 hours rest later in the day, and that is what's called a split rest, and that does work for some types of business and some types of transport operation. In the next session, I'll talk about working time directive. I hope you found this interesting, and I hope that's broken down into a short video, EU driver hours. If anyone's got any questions, give me a shout.
I really hope you loved today's episode, and if you did, please make sure you subscribe and listen out for future episodes too. Please do share it across your social media channels. We hope to reach more and help more people. If you want to find out more about me, my name's Pete Rushmer. You'll find me across any social media channel and my business Flagship Partners, and we're your partners in success across your business. Thank you. See you again soon.